Hi, this is Monday, July 15th, 2019, and as I predicted 3.5 months ago to my two doctoral friends, Juris Doctor and Professor of Biochemistry, I predicted this would be a mild summer. What this video is all about is how to prevent heat stroke, which luckily for me, I waited until just that point of the day where there's a few drops and humidity's coming down. It's actually cool right now, so I'm not doing this under stress. And so I want to remind you before I begin that I'm a person who comes from a family of professional athletes. I was one of the first people on this planet to drink oral rehydration therapy known to you as Gatorade, which Gatorade Zero does not conform to that science. Gatorade Zero is for fully hydrated Americans who are too stupid to know anything about or even research oral rehydration therapy. If Gatorade Zero does the job for you, you're not very bright. Okay? So before I begin, I always like to say, why do you need glasses when you have a bottle? And this bottle was, when I started, was perfectly chilled at 55 degrees on a 90-degree day down in the valley. It was almost 99%, 100% humidity. And humidity will play a major factor in the technology I'm about to discuss. But before I begin, let me have a drink. Just a small sip, nothing big. Okay. I'll probably start with the specifics before I tell you stories to back it up, because some of you people have really short attention span. I understand that. You're bottle fed, not breastfed. You have no focus, especially thanks to your electronic device and your addiction to it. So I'll try to get to it real quick. Right now, things are perfect right here. A little while ago, they were actually not that hot. The past couple of weeks, I've been catching up on chores because, number one, the humidity was at 10% or less for weeks. Not a cloud in the sky, good solar gain for my solar system. Although I got some batteries going bad, and so, I could, all I would get was like when I used to climb high altitudes, all I would get was that salty cake buildup. No sweat, just salt. You see, and for those of you who have never traveled outside of your little weird, bizarre land, I'm going to cross my legs right now for my own comfort. Yeah, it's better. Please, I needed that wine as a pain reliever. For those of you who have never traveled outside of your comfort zone and stuff, there's a world of varying temperatures, humidities, and other things out there that you need to learn how to deal with. And I will tell you about the English woman that really prompted this video. Today prompted it too, because in town everybody was going, "Oh, it's so hot," and I'm going, it's only like 89. It's the humidity. Just step into the store and then come back out, and you'll feel that you're breathing water in the air. People are not very bright. I know I'm exceptionally bright, and you don't have to tell me. I have one friend right now. There's some kind of a thing crawling. Okay, it's not on me. It was anyway. So this is my advice, and always has been, to people who live either here when the humidity's low, or if you live in northern Arizona or somewhere out in the Mojave where the humidity is so low that your air conditioning won't work. You have to turn it off, either in your vehicle or in your home, because you're not spraying water over it to pull. You see, the problem with air conditioning is that air won't do it alone. The air has to have water in it to transfer the heat, and the heat transfer coils. And you could easily go through, thousands of gallons of water a day to cool a house through conventional air conditioning. Now, in many places, beginning with Palm Springs, many decades ago, what, 35, 40 years ago, they started putting up, and they even got them in Austin, Texas now. A lot of you people know that, and by the way, this water is about 35, 40 degrees. That wine I just drank started out at 55 degrees, and I'm drinking it now at about 65, 70 degrees, because that's still, 15 to 20 degrees lower than the ambient temperature. And this is not a hot day in Texas. That's why I'm taking the time to teach you, because if this was a hot day in Texas, I would be chilling out. I wouldn't be out here doing a video. Those of you who have been to Palm Springs, or you've been to the Middle East or whatever, where they finally figured out that thanks to the lack of humidity in the air, they can just spray, stuff 10 feet all around your patio and stuff like that, and you can cool yourself. You can cool the air by as much as 30 degrees just with a light mist of what is already cool water. Okay? That feels really good, but it's not really the answer. So I'll continue. That really won't help you on a really bad day and stuff like that. It's and I need to right off the bat what am I in the second minute? I can't see the screen without my glasses on. I'm not going to put them on. I don't normally wear my glasses anyway, because I know everything in my environment. I use screens close to me. I don't really need, reading glasses. I only have problems with far vision, and I know everything around here. I can look over there and go, oh, that's a dead cedar tree. Okay, I know, because I'm the one that burned it down after my house was arsoned by a lunatic. So, number one on hot days, stay hydrated, but number one, on a real hot day, regardless of humidity, never drink icy drinks. One of the last cousins that I had to give him the hard treatment was working in a local business in which is, the building alone is at least 2 or 3 acres. They've got these big box fans, but they don't air condition anything but the offices. He's out there working all day long, and he's sucking down them 64-ounce big gulps and smoking pot and whatever else and stuff, like trying to stay cool, because pot does help you cool. And had a heat stroke, and I went over and saw him. I said, "Bitch, you ain't getting out of this bed for probably a week, so just give it up. Call into your crazy boss." And now he's at least his own boss. It only took him to about 40 years of age to finally become his own boss. Geez, I've been my own boss since age 25. Okay. But only a fool in Texas or other places where you usually have, especially, this is the dry line. This way it used to be all wet, super humid, and the dry line was that way. I used to be right on the dry line, dry most of the time, but in the last 10 to 12 years, the wet line has moved over there, so I have to deal with more humidity. So what I'm here trying to do today is to tell you how to not get a heat stroke, which is number one, don't drink ice cold drinks on a hot day. I don't care that you're craving that. What it does is when you put the ice cold drinks into your gut, your gut is much like your genitals, is full of just blood vessels. And when you pour ice cold drinks into your gut, those blood vessels constrict and they hold that cold there, and they don't help with, it makes you temporarily feel okay, but what you're doing is actually trapping that cold in one spot. Your peristalsis stops. It can even stop your heart. Drinking icy liquids, I'm going to repeat this 3 or 4 times, especially when I get into the English. What am I at now? I'm not showing no time on here. Fuck me neck. Okay. I got 5 minutes left. It stops peristalsis. And there's also besides peristalsis of the gut, there's peristalsis of the heart. You can kill yourself. Now, what you really do on a really hot day is, preferably, what you should start off with is drink a cup of hot green tea or bouillon, which has got plenty of sodium in it. Actually, the green tea is a little better because it's full of potassium, which keeps your heart functioning. Sip some hot tea and get to sweating, and you'll flush and cool off. And then at that exact moment, when your skin goes dry after cooling off, that's when you take about a gallon of 33-degree water and you do this. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. That's so fucking good. Oh, orgasmically. And then that's how you prevent heat stroke in Texas or other places. I've given you the basic, science, everything, peristalsis, hot and cold. Never drink cold. It traps the heat inside. It doesn't move it to the skin where it'll turn into sweat and evaporation. It stops you from sweating. That's why you love it. It makes you feel good for a second, but then it fucking kills you. You fucking idiots. And while I've got several minutes left, what really provoked this today was the fact that I was down in the valley. On top of the hill, it's much better here. Sun's out, the raindrops have stopped, the clouds are moving off, and it's pleasant. I feel great, especially now that I'm wearing wet, evaporating clothes and stuff. No heat stress for me. I predict this will be a mild summer. But before I go, I want to tell you about a woman whose parents were so stupid that they gave her a male European name, Nicola. Nikki from Walsall, England, Welfare, England, I call her, who's a lesbian. She admits that she prefers women of color, but she hasn't had a woman of color in 20 some odd years now. Has only had one man in the last 20 some odd years. She's real part of Brexit and stuff like that because they're stealing her welfare money and stuff. It's being reduced, even though she lives in a 2-bedroom flat in a really pretty nice little village that actually has no museums, no cultural life, no nothing, because everybody commutes into Birmingham to work, which Birmingham is pretty much run by Asians and other, migrants. But one day, if I have the time here, I'm going to have to check the time. I have less than 2 minutes. One day, after we had this discussion about drinking icy drinks on hot days with myself, 5 Southerners, and me, a Westerner, who's been to several major, and my family's been into every major desert on this planet. We know all about heat stroke. And so we had actually jumped the room because of an irritant, and because there were 5 other people, she said, "Well, I don't care what anyone says. When it's hot day, I'm going to eat ice cream and drink icy drinks." And this is a woman who lives in an environment whose average annual temperature is 64 degrees, which is temperate. I live in Texas, where the average annual temperature, winter or summer, is around 78 degrees, okay? Only changing recently. And she said those words to trigger me, because she's an expert at triggering. And I've been getting on her ass ever since. Because what she said is nonsense. Because this 43-year-old woman who has no children has only had 2 sexual relationships that we know of in her entire life. One of them with a African woman. Tried to tell me that, a woman who's never traveled, I can tell by talking to her, never traveled more than 100 kilometers from Birmingham or Walsall, England, is trying to tell me about hot weather. Don't ever try to tell me about hot weather. I survived Kyle Field when it still had AstroTurf and Tiger Stadium, and on a hot August night when the humidity is so thick that you could cut it with a knife. Okay? This is how you survive hot heat strokes.